Hi. Today we're going to be
Oh,
talking to Marshall Greenwald, CEO and founder of CrayPay. Hi, Marshall. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you so much for being on our podcast today, and I'm super excited to be diving into the ins and outs of your business.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's just kick it off. What is CrayPay?
CrayPay is the world's first universal rewards and loyalty program with instant savings. You use it kind of like Apple Pay in store or online, but we give you an instant 4 to 5% on average cash back right now.
Wow. When did you guys start out, and what was the inspiration?
So we started this company about 6 years ago, and it was really derived from the business I've had for about 20 years called Discount Payment Services. We've serviced about 5,000 small to mid-sized businesses, mostly here in the Valley. And in talking to them, we found they really needed a compelling means of marketing to consumers. And so, even though this is a payment solution with incentives for consumers, it's also a marketing solution for merchants.
Wow. I mean, that's super ambitious. It sounds like you were kind of juggling a lot of things early on in the beginning. How did you manage that?
Yeah, I don't know how much you want to go into everything that was going on at that time, but I think it would be at the high level, it'd be fair to say that things were very difficult. I was in between a car accident and brain surgery with three teenagers and a divorce ongoing and two businesses. So it was definitely a challenging time, but I think coming out of it, and then of course going through what we did in 2020 and are still in the middle of today, I tend to find some interesting lessons I've learned, such as you can get through anything, and when things seem really bad today and very challenging today, maybe tomorrow the pain of those experiences will be lessened, and several years down the road it'll be just a memory. So it kept me going. So even though those experiences were difficult, they've really given me the ability to kind of look at anything going on and get through it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that you were able to manage those things speaks worlds about your drive and your passion for what you were doing. I mean, what was, usually entrepreneurs say that there's an idea that just kind of sticks with them and they like can't sleep until they do it. What pushed you into creating this business?
Yeah, it's interesting to find those correlations between all these different entrepreneurs with various industries, different ideas. But I think that spark of creativity and desire to help other people is really something we find kind of uniformly across the human experience, and it really has driven me to do what I do at my other company for 20 years and to create CrayPay. There was an idea I had in 2004. I still have the piece of paper. I don't have it with me today, but I drew a map and I called it a better payment system. And I started working with these ideas. And it didn't really catch fire until the technology caught up with some of that thinking. Now that we have phones and we can go into a store and pay, I kind of thought, okay, well, Apple Pay is going to solve all these problems I wanted to solve, 15 years ago. But by and large, we don't use our phones to pay for things. So I had to kind of look at, hey, is there still an opportunity to go do what I wanted to do? And all along that time in between, this idea kept coming back to me in various forms. And I'd say probably every 2 years, I'd kind of sit down and really brainstorm ways to make this happen. So I think the original inspiration came from sitting down with businesses, and I felt like I was providing them a valuable service, moving money from a consumer's credit card to their bank account. But it's so commoditized. It's such an easy thing to get. There's 12,000 places you could get a merchant account today. It even though I was adding the value of, you could call me personally at 2 o'clock in the morning at your restaurant when you're having trouble batching, and I'd come out and fix everything. It still didn't have that perceived value as an overall service. So it was really sitting down and talking to them. What do you really need? What do you really need? And that the needs of these small business owners is what drove me to start CrayPay.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that's an amazing journey, and I mean I guess that kind of and I know it might be a silly question, but who is the target end user of CrayPay?
Not a silly question. I mean, I guess most generally you could say anybody who buys anything could potentially use CrayPay in the U.S. today. Eventually, we'll expand outside the U.S. But really, our target is the millennials, and now even some of the Gen Zs are coming of age to be using apps to pay on their own. Anyone who would use like a PayPal, a Venmo, Apple Pay becomes a very good target for us, because we're doing something similar, but we're adding an incentive to it. So the majority of CrayPay users have given us feedback like, it's a no-brainer, right? If I'm going to pay for something, use my phone, especially nowadays when you don't necessarily want to touch a terminal or anything. So being able to pay with your phone and save 4 to 5% on average is kind of a no-brainer. But we find that the tech-savvy millennials tend to be the right group because they're spending a lot for their household, but they're not at a point in their careers where money is not of consideration in their spending, right? They do want to stretch that dollar. They want to see how can I, leverage the tools in the marketplace to make my income go further.
I mean, I guess what I'm stuck on is I'm trying to figure out how your business is even possible, because you have your business, you have people that are saving money, it's doing a service to business. I mean, you're providing savings all around. How is your company profitable?
Well, I wouldn't claim we're profitable. We are a young, growing startup, so we do generate revenue. I think that's what you were referring to. Yeah. But we've scaled our team in 2021. We've scaled from 10 people to 24 people. So we're not profitable today, just to be clear about that. But we are close, right? We've reduced that burn every year and increased the revenue. So we should reach that point this year. But the way that our model works is to the user, it may not be obvious, but if you step back for a minute and you look at how would Lowe's or Amazon get you to come make your purchase with them today? Well, they may be using coupons. They may be sending you something to your house. They may be emailing you. Whatever it is, it has a cost associated with it. All marketing has a cost. Most marketing has an upfront cost. Our marketing platform for merchants has no upfront cost. It's all based on success, and it's less expensive for the merchant in the end than other marketing channels. So for example, if you were to use CrayPay at Buca de Beppo, right, a huge incentive, it's like 7.25%. Fantastic food, by the way. I don't go as often as I'd like, but I really like Buca de Beppo. That family style Italian restaurant's always kind of appealed to me. So if your bill, let's say, came to $100 for easy math, and we're giving you 7.25% off, you're saving over $7 right now. And you might look at that and go, well, why is Buca de Beppo willing to do that? Well, not only are they doing that, they're paying us about 15%, or I don't know Buca de Beppo's exact rate, but let's say between 12 and 15% for that transaction. And they're doing that because they didn't have to do other marketing to bring you in the door. So we've eliminated another cost center, and we're handling not only the marketing of bringing you in, but also we're processing the transaction. We're indemnifying them against fraud, because with a phone, we can actually know who a user is. Whereas with a credit card, you have a signature or a PIN, and it's very hard to know if that's legitimate. So there is a cost center we eliminate for fraud that they have built into their transactions already. So in the end, Buca de Beppo pays us less than they would pay outside of our channel. Not only that, but we are providing a higher frequency of visit. And that's really, really key to these national retailers, right? It's not that you don't know who Amazon is, right? But if you go to Amazon one extra time per week, or one extra time per month, or in my case, it might be one extra time per day, it seems like, with Amazon, they've just increased the value of that customer and the overall revenue without having to spend money up front to get it. And there's only so much that this is going to sound really weird. I hate to say it's about Amazon or Walmart because they just kind of own their markets, but it's hard to go beyond whatever they've already done, because they've already spent billions of dollars. They've already got a household name. So when you're making that individual buying decision, that's when they want to be in front of you. And that's really, really challenging to do. The way that CrayPay has solved that is we use geolocation. So we know what's close to you, which is what makes it relevant, firstly. Secondly, we know your shopping habits, right? We know where you spent money before, how much, how often, what day of week, what time of day, what time of year. And then we also can look at other behaviors. And this is a very anonymous way to do this, but think about it for a minute. I did not know that people who shop at Lowe's also go to Chipotle. That is not obvious to me in the marketplace. I personally go to both, but I wouldn't have said, hey, this is an analogy I'd make, that the people who go to one are likely to go to the other. That's about 40% overlap in our network. And so when you go eat lunch at Chipotle, we can then queue up an offer for Lowe's. And now when you're within a mile of Lowe's, we can queue that offer to come up to your phone as a push notification. And maybe you're going to get 3 or 4% off at Lowe's today. Lowe's doesn't know that you're outside their store, driving past their store. They don't know that you go to Chipotle for lunch, and they don't know that other people go to both. So we're doing something they can't really do on their own without the technology. And that's how we've been able to get patents in place to protect this very unique solution set.
Yeah, I mean, being able to do, if they do this, then they're likely to do that. I mean, the probability shopping is just, that's a game changer. That's beyond geolocation because sure, you can be by a Lowe's, but if you've never been there in your life, you're
Yeah.
wasting money advertising to that person.
That's right. This really came to us because we wondered the same thing. When somebody first downloads the app, we don't know anything about them really. We do, but we don't know anything about their shopping habits. As soon as you go to Chipotle, what are we going to do? Just send you Chipotle offers all the time? Like, is this the Chipotle app now? Right? It's not. It's a universal app. Works at 200,000 locations and 90 websites. So
Wow.
how do we get you to go use these other places? And we had to figure out a solution. And this is, I think, what it is. It also, it's what we call proactive marketing or curated marketing. So I'll give you an example. I'm getting married in April 22nd.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very excited. It's an expensive time for our family right now, getting ready for a wedding, but it's an exciting time. We're really looking forward to it. Of course, I go on to Facebook or Google and I look up something, maybe a live musician, or look at wedding rings or dresses, and you know what happens right now on Instagram. My feed is like, oh, my friend posted his kid. Oh, and here's a wedding dress site, and oh, here's wedding rings, and it's like every other thing I see right now is wedding related. What's interesting about that is in the wedding space, that might be effective. But what if I was searching for Domino's pizza? I'm hungry right now. It's afternoon. I haven't had lunch. I go look up pizza. I'm trying to find deals for Domino's. Does it make sense for Domino's to pay any money to reach me 4 hours after I've searched for Domino's? It doesn't. Does it make any sense for Papa John's to do that? It doesn't. But that's what happens, right? That's what I call reactive marketing. So you're already looking for something. You've probably already made a buying decision, but now people are spending money to try to market something to you that you're no longer the market for. So this curated marketing, the concept, and this is not in our tech today this way, but long term, our goal is to know what you're looking for before you do, right? So your body told you were hungry around lunch, but before that happened, we saw that you were close to a restaurant that you might go to based on your habits and other habits in the network. And now we send you an offer. Hey, why don't you go check out Jersey Mike's and save 5%? You go, oh, I am starting to get hungry. And yeah, that does sound good. Oh, and there's one right here. Let me go get lunch. So that's the long-term strategy. We will need, more time and more capital to get to that point.
I mean, I think that that's really interesting. And with the different companies that you have that are involved in your platform, I mean, obviously they're competing for visibility. They're competing for, being able to give, better deals. And how do you kind of narrow that? Or how do you I mean, I'd imagine there's a tiering system, or how do you identify like your top deals?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things to think about when it comes to the merchants. When we first started this idea, it took years to get the first merchant. And notice that I'm mentioning household names and not local brands. The goal long term is to service the local community as well. But you can't get users on the platform if there aren't a lot of options near them. So you got to really start by these national retailers. Getting Michael's went live last week. It's 1,179 locations, and everybody knows their brand. So long term, what's going to happen is people come in for the brands they recognize, and then they discover local restaurants and retailers that they didn't know about, and there's even a higher incentive to go try that business today. So that is the kind of long term play. But we found so much demand for this that we have had a hard time keeping up with it. In the last week, we added Uber Eats, Instacart. This weekend, I'm launching Grubhub. Those were not interested particularly until we had DoorDash, and DoorDash had done thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month in sales. Now, all of a sudden, these others are very interested. So, I think we kind of put brands in that we think cover a lot of categories, frequent spending. We try to get to everyday shopping as much as possible, but then we start to see patterns emerge that weren't necessarily expected. So our number one merchant is actually Lowe's if you go by volume, not by transaction count, but by volume, because people go in and spend $5,000, and it's a huge incentive to use our app there and get 3% off or whatever it is today.
Absolutely. I would.
So yeah, right. So one transaction at Lowe's could be equivalent to, hundreds of transactions at Chipotle. And so we look at the volume, we look at the interest, and then we do have users coming to us and saying, hey, we want Lululemon, and we get enough of those, and we go to Lululemon, who we're in negotiations with right now, and we say, hey, we've got hundreds of people who have actively asked to add your brand to our platform. Here's what we think that would equate to in sales. So it's kind of like, I always thought it was weird as a kid. You'd go to any gas station, pick any corner that has a gas station. There's almost two at every one, right? Some of them have three. And I always thought that was kind of bizarre, but somebody's already done the research to determine that this corner will generate revenue for a gas station. And so the brand who is competing with them doesn't have to do that research.
Yeah.
And there's already some portion of people coming through there to get gas. And it might be more convenient when you're heading north instead of south to turn into this side. And so we'll just open a gas station here and catch the traffic going that way. So the same thing happens with us. We're about to add, Grubhub, like I said, this weekend just added Instacart. They're not necessarily saying, CrayPay is the best platform for us. They're saying CrayPay is a good platform for us. And there's already people there looking for food offers. So if they're already there looking for our product, our service in their case, it makes sense for us to be at that same corner.
Yeah. I mean, I usually see there's a McDonald's and Burger King always within each other, and I was always like, why? Like, wouldn't? But that makes sense. If they've already done the research, they say, X amount of cars are going to be driving by. If we capture half of that, it's a win.
Yeah, and not only that, but think about too the times that you've gone to a drive-through and you've been like, oh, there's 8 cars in front of me, and I've got 2 kids in the car that are dying of hunger, and a kid at home that's killing the babysitter. I need to get home. Now, you're going to go to the quickest place to get what you're looking for. If it's across the street versus 2 miles away, that's a different story, right? McDonald's drive-through is long. I'm not going to the Burger King 5 miles away. But if there's a Burger King in the same parking lot sometimes or across the street, then that's a compelling proposition to get that food faster. It's somewhat equivalent. I won't get into the McDonald's versus Burger King thing right now, but if you eat both, then that's a viable option for you at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I will say Arby's has captured a lot of my business that way.
Yeah, right. They're fast, and there are some, I won't name them, but there are some fast food restaurants that have lost a lot of my business because they're never fast and there's good competitors close to them. So I just go there instead. So yeah.
So, I mean, I guess there's been, so much growth that you've seen in your company, and it seems like you're launching different platforms constantly, but you had said early on it was difficult to, get people on the platform. Was there ever a point when you were like, maybe not, with this product?
That's a good question. I certainly had my moments where, I thought about the money, the time, the energy that was going in, and deciding whether it was justified. I don't think there was ever a moment where I came away with the feeling that it wasn't worth it. It was too good of a fit for merchants and consumers. It seemed to me that I just hadn't maybe hit on the right strategy yet. I had a particularly difficult year in 2018, 2019. We had a bunch of different things happen internally as well as externally. 2020 certainly didn't make that easier. I can't even imagine what it's like for some of the small business owners in our community right now. My heart goes out to them because while it's been difficult for everybody and while it's been difficult for CrayPay, we've had the privilege of being able to stay open and have some tailwinds of people wanting to get away from plastic payments and paper payments and get into mobile payment. That didn't make 2020 an easy year. We had to do a lot of pivoting and a lot of investing into changes, but I wasn't in a position where the government said you had to close your business and you could not operate. That I cannot. That's unprecedented as far as my knowledge. And so my heart goes out to all the business owners that are still struggling or have struggled with that. I don't think it's gotten easier. There are some pockets of success in reopenings. I think we have a long ways to go still. But there were some pivots we had to make. And so a couple of kind of key things we had to do. We no longer do direct to consumer marketing. You probably will interact with CrayPay sometime this year without knowing it, in my opinion, if we're successful at everything we have planned. But they'll be through brand partners. And so rather than spending a bunch of money up front to get in front of you individually and hope that you use our platform and use it enough that we make money, we are partnering with companies that already have users, already have members, already have customers. We license our technology to them. They can now add our offers and our network to their members as a benefit or to their customers as an offer. Then we profit share with them on the back end. So that is what kept us alive for the last 3 years and is growth right now. I would dare say we wouldn't have had as many merchants join if we didn't have that growth in those platforms. So, for example, we launched a platform or a white label version of CrayPay. White label just means it's the same core functionality. It looks and feels a little different, but it's branded for our partners. Some of them look very different, but it's really our same core technology that powers it. These white label partners are marketing the app for us and then sharing in the success. And so one of our partners, for example, is an honor society with millions of 1.3 million college students who are part of this honor society. College students are a great demographic for us, as I mentioned earlier. Somebody who's in that age group looking, they have some expenses for their household, but they're looking to stretch their dollars. And so they've been able to get about 78% of the members that they email to, that are opening emails to actually download and start using the app.
Wow.
And so we aren't paying up front. We're getting lots of users out of it. Tens of thousands of users coming in a short period of time is very helpful for us, obviously, both economically as well as, for the metrics that investors look at. So yeah, these things are really, really challenging pivots though, because we had to basically get rid of an entire marketing team. We had to realign our management team, our strategy, our financial models, and everything we had done to grow, let's say 40,000 or so users through this direct-to-consumer marketing. We had to pull back and get rid of those cost centers. Which meant for a while we were flat, right? In fact, for a while it was a downward slope, very steep, and then it went flat. So we're really rebuilding right now through this new strategy.
I've always been kind of a believer in the whole, marketing to different consumer pools and things like that, because trying to get one person to do one thing, that is a lot of work. Eventually you get to the right person, then they may not have time, or they may, be a little busy. But I think that makes, all the sense in the world. And that's a great pivot and a great strategy. I guess kind of my question is, I fall absolutely in the category of someone that should be downloading your app. And I will, as soon as I get off this podcast, I'm definitely going to be downloading it. But what is my customer journey going to look like?
That's a great question. So we try to make it as simple as can be, and I think we're not quite there yet, but we've made great strides. The next version should be such a small journey on the onboarding that you don't even realize there was a journey, right? And that is the case for some users today. We do take risk for transactions, right? So if somebody were to come in the app and use somebody else's credit card, we have to know that, and we have to prevent that. And so there's some kind of like what we call KYC or know your customer stuff or anti-money laundering stuff that we have in there. It's getting better, and it will be. There's drastic simplification of that coming up. But effectively today, what you do is download the app, you put in your email address, and create a password. As you look at the merchant offers, if you decide you want to take advantage of one or more of them and you want to make a payment, you need to add a card to the wallet. So that's a very simple process. If for some reason there's something telling us you may not be the owner of that card, or you may not be who you say you are, or we just don't know, we do have to ask you for additional information. That should be completely eliminated in the next iteration, in the next couple of months, where nobody has to do that. But I'd say about 95% of users, that's it. You put in an email, password, and then you add your card to the wallet. And then when you want to take advantage of an offer, you see first and foremost what's nearby you. So you see there's a Buffalo Wild Wings, there's a Ulta, there's a Applebee's, there's a American Eagle, and then you simply pick which one you want to pay through the app with. And by the way, it tells you how much you're going to save instantly. Wow. So, if it was the Buca de Beppo example, it says you're going to save 7.25. I think American Eagle is 4.75. Ulta, I think, is 5%, same as Sephora. But anyway, you just click on the deal you want. You put in the amount that you owe the cashier after your coupons and happy hours. It stacks. Our incentive stacks with everything else. So whatever other deal. So you just take the total that the cashier tells you you owe or the server tells you you owe, put that into our app, and then we generate a one-time use barcode or QR code, depending on the merchant, and they just scan that and you're paid in full. So Ulta is a great example. I think they use a QR code. So you basically put in, okay, it's a $92.15 purchase, which with my 14-year-old would be getting out lucky. She's real way into Ulta, but and then we generate a barcode worth that $94.25, but we're going to charge you 5% less on your debit card or credit card on file.
In my head, I automatically start thinking about my Discover card, where I also get cash back. I mean, I could save a lot.
That's right. Last night, I booked a hotel for my kids to go. My older kids, one's an adult, one's almost adult, to go up to Flagstaff for the weekend. And so I used hotels.com, which is on CrayPay. They had some offer at the hotel they wanted to stay at. I think it's a Ramada or something like that. But it was like $20 off per night. And then I had a discount because I had been using the hotels.com rewards program. And I used to travel a lot. So I had some points. So I used those. And I think I got a discounted room and a free room. So when it was all said and done, I already got that. And then I saved another $9 and something cents by paying with CrayPay. So yeah, it certainly adds up. We've got access to how much users save. What's great is it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And so me personally, I know, of course, I've been using it a longer time than most and more often than most, but I've personally saved thousands of dollars by using it. And I can let my kids, when they're traveling this weekend, go use it to buy lunch at about 80 different restaurants on our platform that are up there. They can use it to buy whatever they want, and I can see and control what they're doing rather than giving them my debit card and saying, have fun this weekend and please be honest with it, or giving them cash, which is even worse, right? Yeah. I'm saving money by giving them that tool as well.
Wow. I mean, I think that gives parents more control, more savings. And I also think it's cool that it kind of, logs the, transactions. Are you able to see a transaction history? I mean, does it save so you're able to view, what was that one deal or what was that one place? And, does it save that information?
Yeah. In fact, we currently have a very simple history, but you can say, like, I want to see every purchase at American Eagle or Amazon or whatever, and we show you all the details around that transaction. But we've built some designs that will actually give you more detail as far as like where you're saving the most and where you're spending the most, and then we'll add controls where you can actually set limits for your kids and say, I want them to be able to spend up to this much at these business types or these businesses or on this schedule. So you could actually like basically give your kids an allowance or allow them some spending limits. But for individual use, you already see all the history there as well.
That's amazing. And I mean, automatically, one of the things that I would want to do is sign up for the app, and then maybe is there a way to like favorite places that I go to? Like, I'm planning on buying a new dishwasher. Can I search for Lowe's and like flag that for myself?
You will save a lot of money buying a dishwasher through CrayPay. Yeah, so we do have that functionality built. The current version, we went to market in 2019, and we had like 30 days to launch for one of our partners. And so we actually didn't add the favorites, and it's something that people have asked for. So that is coming. It's very simple to do, but what's interesting about a tech company is we have hundreds of features on the back end that aren't on the front end. And not only do you have to prioritize them, but you have to be thoughtful about how you implement them and where they're found. Nothing will kill the user experience faster than something that's not intuitive and easy to use. Yep. I'm sure we all have examples we've seen. I don't want to call anyone else's apps out, but we all know those apps that are just like, you want to use it, and then when you go to use it, you're like, this was not a good experience, and I'm not going to go back to that. We are being very thoughtful about what we call user experience and making sure that everything is very clean and simple and laid out in a way that's very intuitive as well.
That's amazing. And, I just have two more questions for you. One, what's an advice that you would like to give to someone who's maybe starting their own business as an entrepreneur? And then two, how can people learn more about CrayPay and download the app?
If it's all right, I'd love to give two pieces of advice.
You can give 3 if you want.
3, but no more than 3. Okay, fair enough. So the first thing I would say is if you either have started a business or want to start a business, I would say go find somebody that that has done it, that's been through it. I have a close group of business owners that I've associated with through various groups here in the Valley. There are also lots and lots of websites where you can go, talk to and learn from other people. I think that that's really important because we can only learn so much through experience. And
Hi, Connor.
Hello.
This is your first time being able to jump in with troubleshooting.
I was gonna say sometimes I feel like I'm useless. I get to come back in for you. No, I just had to make note so I know where to edit. I think maybe his
Computer dropped off.
computer was dying. It looked like he looked in the top corner. Oh crap! Goes away.
Should I just do like a closing really quick that we can edit in?
No,
Okay.
I personally couldn't do that one. I'm still learning. I'm still learning these edits. I've been spending the weekends though learning the ins and outs of how to do certain things. So maybe in a couple of weeks we could have said I could say yes, but we'll give him a couple of minutes and we'll see if he can hop back in here.
Do.
Here we are.
I'm so sorry about that, you guys.
Hi.
Fine, don't worry about it.
My laptop died, so I relocated to the charger. I've been on pitches, but it was funny because my battery said I had 10 minutes left, and I thought, okay, we'll make it, and then it just crashed right then. So.
I was laughing. It was very, it's kind of like a cartoon cutoff. I saw you look at the top course like, oh crap. It's the first time I've ever gotten to hop back in, so I feel more.
Carrying your own weight today, huh?
There we go. I'm going to take myself right back out, and you guys keep closing it up there.
Okay, great.
So I'd love to know one or two pieces of advice that you'd like to give our listeners.
Yeah, I think the first advice I'd like to give is if you've either started a business or thought about starting a business, to go get advice and maybe even hire an advisor, somebody who's already done it. There's common experiences through any business journey that you can learn a lot from, and it is much cheaper and less painful to learn from hearing from other people's experience than to try to go learn, spend your own money, make your own mistakes, and potentially kill some of your enthusiasm through difficult learning experiences. So find others in your community or online that are willing to spend some time talking to you about obstacles and strategies and things of that nature on an ongoing basis, not just up front, but ongoing. We have a large advisory board at CrayPay, and without some of the advice from some of these advisors, I definitely would have made a lot more mistakes than I already have. The second piece of advice is this is an unprecedentedly difficult time in business. And this is going to sound weird maybe to say it this way in this context, but I have a saying, which is it's not brain surgery. Now, I've had 5 brain surgeries.
I was going to say.
It sounds terrible, right? And yet even that pales in comparison to what a lot of other people have been through. But for me in my own life, that time of starting CrayPay, having a car accident, having brain surgery, going through divorce, that was the most trying time of my life. And my friends in the business community, we kind of joke that someday I'll write a book called It's Not Brain Surgery, because I tend to use that saying sometimes when we're looking at something and we're like really in the weeds, like, hey, this is a really big problem. It feels difficult. If it feels like it might want to make you want to give up, but it doesn't feel right to give up, then just realize that brain surgery is only difficult for about 3 days. 4 days out, it feels better. 5 days out, 2 weeks out, you feel pretty good. I mean, that's not universal. I don't want to speak for everybody. That was my experience. And now 7 years post my first brain surgery, it's just a memory and some pictures, right? And a lawsuit because my insurance company didn't want to pay up. But there's any number of challenges that we have in business or personal life that I think we can kind of learn from, or I can learn from my own experience of saying that felt like a time where if I was ever going to give up, that was it. And I'm really glad I didn't. Things are really good today. I'm happy. I'm ecstatic. I have wonderful relationships, wonderful employees and business partners, wonderful customers, and things are better than I would have ever thought possible 7 years ago when I was going through all this.
Wow. I mean, I think that puts so much into perspective of, you think it's bad, it could certainly be worse. And this is a problem that you can figure out and work through if it feels like something is truly there.
Absolutely.
So, and I guess I would love to be able to give our visitors some direction on how they can learn more about your business.
You can always check out CrayPay.com. I know that's a weird name, so the spelling is CrayPay. It's like cray, but yeah, CrayPay is a cray new way to pay. So CrayPay.com. Just download the app. It's 4-star plus average review rating. It's a great app. It's getting better every day. Bottom line, it works, and there's a lot of savings to be had. So we'd love to have your listeners download and check out the app and give us feedback if they'd like through our email address on there as well.
Awesome. I mean, I know for a fact I am looking for a new dishwasher, so I will be hopping on CrayPay and getting my dishwasher for you guys. So you'll start seeing my user history, and then you'll be like, she does like Chipotle.
I don't think I'll be watching that closely, but I do look forward to helping you save some money on that purchase.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I very much look forward to seeing your business grow.
Thank you. We are as well. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.